Alright, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Hopefully next episode, no, not hopefully, definitely next episode we'll have a guest. But we're just going to do one more solo episode, and I think it's a good setup. Today's episode is on understanding people and yourself. So how this one's going to go is first we're going to go understanding people, then we'll go on understanding yourself, and then we'll tie it in all together. This is this is important because when you're trying to find you're trying to make your way towards your pathway, there's another, a little corny joke for you. It's important to know yourself and also the people you're communicating with. Because in life, you always have to communicate with people. And the better you are at communicating with people and understanding people, the farther you will go. So let's get into that. First, understanding people. And I'll first go on emotional intelligence. So, I'm not going to give you the Google definition, because if I give you the Google definition, what is the point of this brand of pathway? Because it's pretty much of perspective. So I'll give you my perspective on what I think it is. Emotional intelligence to me is the knowledge on emotions where you understand why and where the emotion is coming from either it be from you or from other people. But for the purposes of this, it'll be on other people. So emotional intelligence, what you want to do is understand, like I just said, understand why the person's feeling that way. And where is it coming from? Because in reality, me being happy about something, let me actually put it like this. Let's say your team won the championship. Me and somebody else can be happy, but the way I feel happy towards it might not be the same happiness as the other person has towards it, if that makes sense. So now when we go to understanding people and communicating with emotional intelligence, you really have to understand where they're coming from and why. Obviously the why, it's kind of more difficult because, it depends where it is, but you don't really have background knowledge on the person. But if you do, there's your extra step. But if you don't have background knowledge on the person, you kind of have to figure it out while you're conversating. And I'm going to say conversating a lot. I know it's not a real word, but in this channel, it's going to be a real word. I don't care. So yeah, emotional intelligence, it's a lot about listening, because if you don't listen, you're not going to understand them, and understanding the emotion. So I'll make an example like this. If someone, playfully jabs at you, you could take it as a joke, but that's probably their defense mechanism of, all right, I'm offended, but I don't want to make it seem as if I'm, offended to that person, and then they're going to think of me as, what's the word? Too soft. There's a better word for that, but, this is all top of the dome. But let's go on from emotional intelligence to where I said you do have to listen to the person. And there's a quote, and I can't quote it word for word, but we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we were meant to listen more than we speak. And when you're trying to conversate with somebody, you have to listen. You have to. Whether that be just a regular conversation about their day or whatever, or when it comes to disagreements or debates, you have to listen. You can't just, all right, let me just wait until they're finished so I can get my point off, or then I can say what I want to say, because then you're not really conversating with the person, are you? It's selfish. It is selfish. And sometimes I get it, the person might not understand where you're coming from. So you was just like, all right, if they're just going to ignore, I'm just going to do the same thing to them. But you get nowhere. You honestly get nowhere. And I think it is trouble in this society because we're so involved in social media, seeing what everyone's posting. And the biggest example I can give is TikTok with the For You page. I have to be careful with the examples I give because, there's a lot of snowflakes. But let's say we'll do rivalries with sports, where rivalries with sports or TV shows, like TV dramas, TV reality. If your For You page is only showing one perspective on the person, it's for you, so you're gonna agree with it. But when it comes to conversating with somebody else, you only have the knowledge of that. So you can just continuously talk, and you can be wrong, but in your head you're right, which is understandable because that's the only knowledge you have. But that's where understanding the other person. Let me make sure this echo isn't on, because I did record an episode and the echo was on the whole time. But you have to understand the other person, and you might not have knowledge, but that's where you have to listen to them. That's how you gain knowledge, not just by yapping, which is technically what I'm doing right now, but I kind of have to. Next we'll go to my third point, which is gauge their intelligence so they understand you. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they might not get what you're saying because of how you say it. And trust me, I understand that so much because, in my life, there's a lot of people who's like, you just don't explain it well, which I get, but to me, I understand it. So I either have to dumb it down or I have to smarten it up, which I get it's a hassle, but in order to get what you want, you have to make those small sacrifices. And honestly, it's not a sacrifice, but we're just so stubborn as people in this society. We're just so stubborn and have tunnel vision. We just don't want to have to deal with it, which sucks. It sucks, and I can't stress enough how much that sucks, because there's a lot. I feel like we lose a lot as a species that we can't get to that understanding because we're just so full of ourselves. But it is what it is. What can you do? Actually, you can do something about it, and that's why I'm doing all this right now. This is what the whole channel is about. But let's continue into understanding yourself. This, it's different for everybody. Everybody's different. I'll go with the most common, well, not common, but most understanding one, which is social anxiety. And some people might not be able to control it. When you're in a crowd, you get that social anxiety, or sometimes specific people, you just get anxiety, and I understand it, but you have to take control. And when I mean take control is not, it means nothing, like I'm just gonna brush it to the side, because honestly sometimes you can't. And what I mean by take control is, if you have that social anxiety because of, I'll give the example of, you're afraid of what the other person will think of you and how they're watching you and stuff like that, take control. You're the one dictating on how they see you. You're the one influencing their perspective on you. And once you have that control, it's amazing, because then who could really touch you? And if somebody judges you, listen, everybody's gonna judge you. It's just normal. We're all humans. We judge, whatever. But if you know you're in that control, and anything else somebody says to you, I'm telling you, 110%, it's not gonna affect you. Because if you're in control, then something that's out of your control, it doesn't matter. And it's not gonna happen overnight. But working towards that, going those little steps, having that consistency, it's a game changer. Next point we'll go, which is know yourself to act accordingly. I'm just going off the notes and then going off the dome. Does know yourself to act accordingly make sense now that I'm reading it out loud? No. maybe I should have put a comma. So it's know yourself to act accordingly. You know what? That still doesn't make sense, but we still move. What I'm trying to say about that is you have to have an understanding on yourself of how you act to act accordingly. I think the biggest misconception is, I'll give you an example, which is if you're trying to go into business and you're trying to act like a businessman, but it's not you, you're going to find a lot of struggles. Like, you have to be yourself. And, it's some people, it struggles like, well, one time I'm good, the other time I'm not good, yada, yada, yada. It's like, yeah, but, you have that core foundation of yourself. And I'm going to love when I have this episode, and I hope it's the next episode, and it's going to be titled, People Never Change. Oh, it's going to be fantastic, but you got to be there for that episode. And I'm telling you, it'll be a banger. But, yeah, I'll give you a personal example where I'm a very passionate person. And sometimes it comes off wrong. And people will think I'm angry with them, or I'm taking it personal, or whatever. Listen, I'm just a passionate person. And I did try and change it to act accordingly, but it wasn't myself. And that honestly hurt more than just being myself. Because me being passionate is who I am. And that's what gives me that little uniqueness. And that's what differentiates me from other people. So that's what I mean by know yourself so you can act accordingly. The last point is don't change you for someone else, whether that be for benefits or whatever the case might be. Never change yourself. Never, ever, 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 ever. I wish I can just say that for straight 10 minutes so people understand, but I can do that and people still won't understand. And you know what? I get it. Sometimes I don't even understand. Sometimes I'll try and change myself just for the benefit, but then I'll get that ground back because I know that's not how it should work. I'm the best, and that's how we all gotta think. We're the best. You can compare yourself to anybody. Ain't nobody like you. And I think that is the most beautiful thing about life. There's nobody like you. If you want to get technical with identical twins, go ahead. I'll argue it till the day I die. Still, ain't nobody like you. But yeah, don't change yourself, because when we go back into that example I'm talking about business, if you change yourself for the benefit of a higher position or whatever, you'll end up struggling. And you probably, honestly, some of you might not. It might benefit you to change yourself for that benefit. And that is completely fine. But you changing a little aspect of your life to make you grow is the best thing you can do. But changing yourself in a negative manner, or that affects you negatively for the benefit, it's a big no-no. So, I believe this was a good topic to talk about, because society is so focused on, a screen, which is hilarious that I'm reading a screen right now, but we're so focused on a screen like Instagram, TikTok, seeing what other people are doing, and it can hurt us because we can talk to everybody through FaceTime and text messages, but when we go see them, it's, oh, now they can see my whole body, and now I'm fidgeting, and maybe they don't like the way I'm doing this or that. It's like you just get too much in your head. We're social creatures. And yes, social media does help that, but depending on how we use it, it can really affect us negatively. So, and that's something I personally want to try and work on too. I want to get away from social media. Meanwhile, I'm trying to make it my life, but be as less personal about it as possible. I don't want to throw my stuff out there. I want to communicate. I want to meet people, whether that be on a random day or in a club or at a grocery, just whatever. I think it's it's a beautiful thing in life. You can meet anyone at any time. It is easier on social media. Obviously, you can meet someone new by a click of a button or whatever, and you could talk to whoever you want to talk to. But when you try and apply that to real life, it's not as easy. And I think that's where we have a growth in social anxiety, because you can be great at talking to people over the phone, but when it comes person to person, that's when that anxiety hits, and what can you do? You can do stuff, by the way, so don't think it's over. Next is, let's talk about sometimes you or the person might not understand each other, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, I love this point. God forbid you do not see eye to eye with somebody. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. It happens. You move on. Some people won't understand each other, and that's fine. Like, not everyone is meant to understand the other person. And when you if you listen to podcasts, you might not understand where the person's coming from, but you do gain knowledge. You gain the knowledge. And that's, again, something I'm very cautious with this whole echo thing. See, there was an echo. There was. And I'm leaving this. I think this is a good episode. If there's echo, bear with me. We're all human. But yeah, if you don't understand each other, it's fine. You're not always going to understand somebody. But maybe after not understanding, you're by yourself and then you're thinking back to that conversation. You're like, this point, they were right. Like, oh, this is a new way to look at things. Maybe at the time you didn't understand it, but you taking in that knowledge after and going over it, you're learning, you're gaining more knowledge, and what more can you ask for? Just in that moment, just because you don't understand doesn't mean that's the end of it. Like, you'll never understand it, or they'll never understand it. If you actually take in, like I said, listen more than yap, it's a life-changing thing, honestly. And it's such an easy thing to say, but I guarantee you, and no offense, because honestly, I do like to yap too, and I sometimes yap more than I listen. 90% of people watching this yap their mouth off, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. If you're a yapper, keep yapping. But don't forget to listen when it's time to listen. And at the end, it doesn't happen overnight, but you do take away something on every conversation you have. You should take away something in every conversation you have, no matter if it's even just little. Even as little as, this conversation with that person today made me happy. Like, that's good. That's all you need. We don't have to critique it so much, because honestly, it just kills your mental. Just live life. Understand your people. Try to understand people to get where you want to get, but also just to enjoy life. I think that's also a reason I'm doing this, because trying to enjoy life when you're going paycheck to paycheck or struggling with whether that be bills, or you want to go somewhere but you're not making enough money to enjoy it, or to go enjoy yourself. Like, I get it, it's a struggle and it's a burden, but try and enjoy the things that you can, that are free. Enjoy the things that are free, because what's so bad about, you see someone and you want to know where they got the shirt from, or you like the shirt and you just want to tell them the shirt. Just go for it. Just conversate. And if that person looks at you and is like, yo, why the hell, like, why are you talking to me? It's like, all right, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I said what I gotta say, and that's it. If they don't want to understand it, that's their problem. At least you know you're in control. You did what you want to do. You can't control on how they'll react. If they don't understand it, move on. There's no need to argue. There's no need to make it bigger than what it originally is. And now, coming up on the 20-minute mark, I think that's where we'll leave it. This was kind of just get in that habit of putting out episodes. The next episode, like I said, I definitely am gonna want to I'm definitely gonna want to have someone on here for that. No one really changes. it's gonna be such a great episode. Maybe I'll get 2 people. I mean, I get ahead of myself, but there will be somebody else, so you don't have to hear my voice for however long it is. Because honestly, sometimes I get tired of hearing myself talk too. But that will be all for today. Thank you for watching. If you're new, thank you for stopping by. And if you're coming again, I really appreciate you, because just why not? It's like, you need people. For this to work, I need people. So people coming back, I really appreciate it. But again, not hopefully. You know what? I'm making this right now. I will have the next episode in less than 2 weeks. If it's more than 2 weeks, well, honestly, you can't do anything if it's more than 2 weeks.